Welcome back, guys. I'm Louis Leyva. Today we're going to talk about one of your favorite topics, which is what the hell can I do with this EIDL loan? So let's jump into some of the questions that you guys have been asking. And I'm sorry if I can't get to every one of your questions. We've just been inundated with thousands of them. But let's just go down the list and see if we can answer some for you today. All right, so the first question comes from James Pratt. What James is asking is, what about the EIDL loan grant? Is there a free range I can use this for? So basically what he's saying is there any restrictions on the grant? Yes and no. The grant still carries the same restrictions as the loan does, but there is no collateral on the line for it. Most likely you will not get audited for the grant, so feel free to spend it for working capital. Now don't take my advice, always check with your CPA and call the SBA if you're also having some second doubts. So remember that, I'm not an expert, nor do I claim to be one. Next we have Jason. Jason is asking, what about the grant? Still another grant question. So Jason's question is, what about the grant? Is this part of the PPP? Well, yes it is. It's part of the PPP if you do get the PPP money. So let me explain to you. If you get $100,000 from the PPP and you got a $10,000 grant, you'll only get $90,000. It'll be deducted from the actual PPP loan that you're gonna get, because remember, it's an advance. It's an advance that happened to be a grant. And if you use that portion for payroll, then that portion can also be deducted from the forgivable portion. So our next question comes from Kim. Kim says, I am a sole proprietor and I just want to take down draws. I don't want to pay myself W-2 because I never did that before. So thank you for this question, Kim. And yes, according to what we're learning and what I've seen other CPAs also recommend, is that you can pay yourself distributions or draws from the EIDL loan money only if you've provided services. Okay, so remember, you can't just pay yourself for anything. If you provided a service for the company, you are allowed to get compensated for that. So I hope that helps. So the next question comes from Starter71. They say, I have a licensed family home daycare and I work out of my home. Can I use the money to pay my mortgage? Well, unfortunately, you cannot use it to pay your mortgage. If you've already had set up a lease for the business within the house, then you can continue to pay the lease with it, but you cannot pay your mortgage payments, unfortunately. So sorry about that, Starter71. Hopefully you can find other expenses for it. Next question comes from Daryl Moore. Daryl Moore says, can I hold the money in a brokerage account? So a brokerage account would be an account in which you can either draw that money out to invest it into stock or other commodities, whatever the case may be. Yes, you can hold it in those accounts as long as you can liquidate the money. But if the money directly goes into investments, then no, you cannot. If it's invested, then it's a whole different business altogether. So hopefully that answers your question, Daryl. Next question comes from B Bang Worry. They're asking, can any part of the EIDL loan be forgiven? And the answer to that is no. None of the parts of the EIDL loan are forgiven. You're mistaking that with the PPP loan, in which you use it for payroll, but this is a straight up 30-year loan, 3.75% interest. This is what you have to pay it back as. If you're enjoying this video, please give us a thumbs up so this can get in front of more people who need to see it just like yourself. Okay, so our next question comes from QV, and QV is asking, what if my company is still profitable and making money, and I keep the EIDL loan money in a separate account, and I don't use that money that the EIDL loan gave me for anything that's not business related, but the income that I'm generating from my business, I use a separate account for that, and I use that for any working capital I want. As long as I don't use the EIDL loan money for things that are not permissible, will I get in trouble? The answer to that is no. Actually, if you use your own income, you can use it for anything you want. But the EIDL loan money cannot be misused or misappropriated. It has to be used for the four main things that the EIDL loan is intended for. So great question, QV. Our next question comes from Rucky Tech. What Rucky is asking is, can I use the money to pay off my car since I am an Uber driver and this is my livelihood? Well, the answer to that would be no. You cannot prepay or pay down any long fixed debts that you may have, long-term fixed debts, but you can make the monthly obligation payments on those debts. So thank you for that question, and that one will be an easy one to answer. You cannot pay down any long-term debts, only monthly payments, obligations, whatever you may call them. Our next question comes from SBM. SBM is asking, can I pay this money back before the 12 months? Can I start making payments on it before the 12-month period? Or do I have to wait for the 12-month period to start? Well, you're not obligated to make your first payment until after the 12th month, but you can start making payments on this thing at any point whatsoever. And if you don't like the loan, you can actually pay it all back in one shot tomorrow if you'd like. So great question. Never thought of that, but thank you for that. So Eric has actually stated that he's gonna use the money to go to Vegas and rent a penthouse, and then he's gonna take the rest of the money and put it all on black. So great move. Hopefully you won't be writing us from next time from prison, but hopefully you don't do that. So Justin Ackerman is asking this question, which I've never thought of before, but I'll bring it up now. So what he's saying is that part of the stipulations with the EIDL loan is that you're not allowed to prepay back any federal debt that you may have with the money that you get from the EIDL loan. He's asking, does that include paying back the EIDL loan? Because it is a federal debt. So I don't think they're referring to that. I think if you use it to pay back its own loan, I think you're perfectly fine there. Now our next question comes from Kim Rojas, and Kim is asking, we got approved for the PPP loan and now we just got approved for the EIDL loan. And because of that, we don't want to start using the EIDL loan until after the 8 weeks that we've exhausted all the PPP money. Can we use it for payroll after the 8 weeks? Yes, absolutely you can. What you can't do is double dip at the same time. So if you pay yourself a salary today with PPP, you can't pay yourself with the EIDL loan next month and then go back to PPP. You can't use it at the same time. You have to wait till the PPP is exhausted, then you can start using the EIDL loan. Now, if you use the EIDL loan previously for payroll, and now you got the PPP loan, you have to take whatever portion you use to pay payroll with the EIDL loan and pay that back with the PPP loan. Hopefully that wasn't too confusing. One question that I was asked today by email from a gentleman named Cal Stevens is that he has a property management company, and that's his umbrella company. That's his main company. He got the EIDL loan under that. But under that parent company, he has other LLCs that own private properties that are rental properties. So what he's asking is that if he defaults on his loan, will they go after his rental properties even though they're in different LLCs? He's stating that his CPA has not really had any clarity on the matter and has not been able to give him an answer. So the only answer I can give you is this. LLCs are different even though they're held under a parent company. It doesn't matter. There's different corporations that hold those. So most likely you're not going to be able to go into one business and take assets from another business. So what I would do is send them an email so that way you can have it in writing, so that way you can keep it for your records, because there's nothing better than to have it in writing or just have some kind of proof that you did the right thing. So hopefully that helps you, Cal. Great question. Never thought of that. One thing I will tell you is that they will not go after your personal property. They've already made that very clear that they're not going after your personal property or even your personal automobile. That's something I didn't know until last week. So hopefully that helps you guys. Let's see if we have one more question. Okay, so our next question comes from 907 Angler. And what they're asking is, do you have to accept the amount that they gave you even if you signed off on it and then you change your mind? If you change your mind, you can reduce the amount that you're being given. But the most important thing is if you're doing it because you do not want to have any personal collateral or you don't want to put any collateral up at all, you want to make sure that the note gets redrafted. You don't just pay it down to under 25,000. So for instance, if you got 50,000 and you said to yourself, wow, I don't want to be on the hook for this loan and I'm just going to pay back 25 and keep 25. Well, that doesn't really work that way because you signed a note that was 50,000. So what you're going to need them to do is actually redraft a new note. So that way you have a new obligation altogether. And inside that note, it'll specify that you don't have any collateral responsibility. Now, some people that took the actual 25,000 or less loan still had to sign a note that stated that they had collateral obligations, but then later on they were either emailed or mailed a letter from the SBA amending the note stating that there is no collateral responsibility. So if you haven't done that, that's the way you're going to have to do it in order to make sure that you don't leave yourself on the hook for any collateral later on. Okay, so here's one of the questions that I've been getting a lot. If you have a car dealership, can you use it to buy inventory? If you are an investor, can you use it to buy homes? Well, the short answer is no. You cannot use it for any fixed assets. You cannot buy it. But if you call the SBA and you get a different answer, God bless you. Because to be honest with you, no one really knows what's going on. And just to recall, my last video, I stated that I spoke to my CPA, and my CPA is telling me, listen, do whatever you'd like with that money. And I'm not recommending that you do whatever you like with that money. I'm just telling you what he's saying because his train of thought is that there's so many people that are going to receive this loan that it's going to be impossible to police this loan. It's going to be impossible to audit it. And there's going to be so many businesses that are taking this money who are going to go belly up and are not going to be able to pay this money back, that most likely the attention is going to go to those people who default. So if you don't plan on defaulting and you have something that's marginal and you think, look, this makes sense, I should use it for this because I normally use my money for this type of expense, call the SBA first, check with your CPA, and if no one can give you a clear answer, just make sure you document all the attempts you made to get an answer on it, and just spend it and put it back or pay it back as soon as you possibly can. But that's just what I would do. I'm not encouraging you to do something you're not comfortable with. Remember guys, I'm not a CPA, not an attorney, I'm not giving you advice. I'm just telling you, if I was in your position, I wouldn't worry too much about splitting hairs. I would just be more worried that if my business is actually going to survive. If you don't think your business is going to survive because it's a business that is no longer relevant, give that money back. Do not use that money to live off of. It's not worth it. You're better off getting the PUA or finding another gig or getting a job or whatever that you can do to get the bills paid and to put food on your table. But do not take this SBA loan if you think your business is not going to make it. That's just my advice. One of the other questions I get a lot is, can you use it to pay for your IRS debts? The answer is you're not supposed to. The SBA told me no, but then I had other people tell me that they called the SBA and the SBA told them, yes, you can pay it for tax obligations for your business. So go figure. I don't know what to tell you on this, but the only thing I can say is that if you would have normally paid your business tax returns through your business, go ahead and do so, but make sure you put that money back as soon as humanly possible. That's just what I would do. I'm not telling you to do that, but always check with the SBA and check with your accountant before you do anything whatsoever, okay? This is just for entertainment purposes only. Next question comes from the Millennial Mindsetter. She's asking, when does the interest actually start? Well, the interest for your EIDL loan doesn't start after 12 months. The interest actually starts right away from day one. So on day one, what you're gonna get is the interest accruing, and then once your first payment starts 12 months later, then you'll have to pay all that back interest first. Then you'll pay any penalties if you've accrued any penalties, and then last, you'll start paying down the principal. So just keep that in mind, because some of you may be shocked, but a lot of people who have student loans know exactly what I'm talking about because they do it to you while your payments are being deferred. Okay guys, so thank you for watching. I just want to remind everyone, if you're looking to get into real estate or you are in real estate, we're growing our team into all 50 states. So I'll leave a link down below where you can get in touch with me about that. If you want to set up a one-on-one call to ask me more questions about this EIDL loan, or if you just want some mentoring or coaching for your business, you can schedule a strategy call with me in the link down below as well. Or if you just want to know what books I read and what best books are out there for entrepreneurs, I'll leave a list of those books as well. Thank you everyone for watching. We appreciate you making it to the end. If you haven't done so yet, we encourage you to join our community by hitting the subscribe button, hitting that notification bell, and most importantly, share this with a friend. Thank you guys, and we'll see you next time.